Good morning and welcome to Chapter 8 Radio Production, Part 1. We're going to review a little bit and move ahead so that you'll be able to answer all of the questions that are due today if you are able to get to them. On Thursday, we're going to try something a little different. We're going to do a Google Hangout meeting and try to teach class live for you. But I'll tell you more about that in an email I'm going to send out to you. So we've already started talking about the evolution of commercials on the radio. First of all, as you remember, the first radio commercial was done in 1922, and it was a real estate commercial, 10 minutes long, and it was done on WEAF in New York City. Now, here was the problem with early commercials. First of all, they were boring. No music, no sound, no acting. They were straight ahead, no frills, no thrills. But they were also unregulated, which means people could have made any kind of claim that they wanted to on the radio. Magic hair tonic. If you drink this juice, you'll attract the women. I mean, you could basically say whatever you wanted on these commercials. We're going to get into how the government regulated that in just a little bit. But first, the first commercial, like I said, WEAF in New York, and it was a 10-minute kind of infomercial, real estate. Well, radio saw how great that this possibility could be. As a matter of fact, radio called these commercials tolls, TOLLS, tolls on the radio. And so they started to see how effective these tolls were and how people were buying the products that were being sold. So they've decided to become creative and kind of spice it up. And we first saw that Christmas of 1926, Christmas Eve. That's when we heard the first jingle on the radio. It was a Wheaties spot. Okay. And they actually brought all the people in and they sang it a cappella. And everybody was in the studio and they sang the jingle live Christmas Eve 1926. Okay, so commercial started at this point, started to get a little bit more. Oh, great. You get to see all my Facebook notices. Oh, and DQ just sent me a message. Thank you, don't. Mr. K, I don't understand what I have to do. Appreciate DQ. Anyway, so commercials started really picking up in the 1930s when they became almost as complex as the actual shows that were being played themselves. I mean, I'm talking commercials had dialogue spots, drama, comedy, and they were selling these products, and the products were flourishing. You got to remember the time of the 1930s. No internet, obviously, but no television. Very little at the movie theaters. So everybody's chief entertainment was radio. And when they listened to radio, they were truly listening. It wasn't just background noise. It was, stuff that they were really taking in. And so these commercials were so effective. And as they became more effective, they got more elaborate, more elaborate, more elaborate, until they were just like almost full-fledged productions themselves. Got to remember that commercials back in these days were all done live, so sound effects were live. If you wanted to slam a door, you actually had to slam a door. The effect of people clapping, people were clapping, and so you get the idea. Sound effects were all done live. That all went on until a great breakthrough um, of magnetic recording tapes and records. Let me re-emphasize: magnetic recording tape, not originally done for radio. As a matter of fact, the magnetic recording tape was invented by a German scientist inventor who did it for the Nazis with the purpose of spying. They would take these little recorders, stick them in a room, and basically push play and record and walk away. Therefore, they could then record whatever was going on in that. Well, radio people picked up on this, and between that and the 33 LPs, which are long play records that came in the 1950s, live commercial announcements were gone, and they were replaced by these recorded commercials. Here's the big thing that happened because of that. commercials got so intense and so complex, but less expensive. Because basically, all you had to do was produce it once. Once you produced it, it was then recorded on a tape and could be duplicated and copied from one place to another. And therefore, you didn't have to do them live. You didn't have to bring in all the actors and the singers, the sound effect people, every time you wanted to run this commercial. So now companies have the ability to mass produce them and send them out to hundreds of radio stations, therefore getting their message and this complex, highly produced message all around what was going on. So recorded commercials became the mainstay through the 50s. And by the 60s, most of the time, records were used. Once again, 33 and a third stands for the RPMs, which is revolutions per minute. All right, so what's happening with commercials now? As you know, commercials have evolved and evolved and evolved. And now the copy, the delivery, the mix down of the commercials are all done specifically for each format. So, for example, a commercial that is geared towards a teenager is generally more highly produced with sound effects, big bangs, and just a lot of things going on, to appeal to that audience. Where a commercial for, say, a 45 to 54-year-old age demographic would be done more conventionally. Single voice, music bed, maybe a gentle sound effects. Where commercials geared towards younger demographics have a lot of hype, a lot of wow. Commercials for middle age and older demographics, more straightforward. So who's in charge of all this? That person is called the production director. A lot of radio stations are now calling them imaging directors. They record the voice tracks, they mix down the music, the sound effects, public service announcements, and station imaging content. So, what is station imaging content? Things like recorded drops, promos, IDs, all of these. So, the production director not only responsible for that, but this is also the person that is going to maintain all the sound effects, the music beds, special effects, promotional material, other programming, and they are the ones ultimately responsible for what is produced and put on the air. Now, while they're responsible for it, keep in mind they are working under the program director because it is the program director, as you remember from an earlier chapter, that is responsible for everything on the air. So the production director is, or the imaging director is the one that's going to keep up all the recorded information. So a lot of times, especially at middle and smaller stations, production director is not his only job. Matter of fact, when I worked at 93 Laser, which is now 92, Power 92, I was both the production director and the morning person at the same time. So at small and medium stations, they usually don't have the budget for a production director. Now that stations are clustered, production directors may cover more than one radio station. That's why it's so important that you know all about how to write for a different demographic. Because if you work on the production team for one radio station, you might be producing commercials that are going to run on other radio stations also. So that's what's going on with commercials now. That's where we're going to stop for today. That is Chapter 8, Part 1. So now your assignment is to go into Schoology and make sure that you answer all the questions. Let me see if I can find them. Okay, so answer all the questions that are in Schoology under your part, and here they are. 200317, questions 1 through 5. Hey, if you get them in today before midnight, I'm going to pop an extra 20 points, extra credit on them. So let's talk about your next assignment, your last assignment for today. That is the 200317 writing lab for products. What I want you to do is I want you to pick any product in your household, any product at all, a couch, a chair, a door, a refrigerator, a television, and write down a different use that different demographics would use it for. Okay? The different demographics I've written down are right in front of you. A 14-year-old female, a 22-year-old male, a 35-year-old male, a 49-year-old female, and a 77-year-old male. Bless his little heart if he's still alive. So write out a sentence for each one of them telling me what that demographic would use that particular product for. Listen, everybody uses refrigerators to store food. We all know that. But different people look at different products different ways. Okay? Make sure that you differentiate between the different demographics, because your assignment on Thursday is going to be to write a commercial for that product for 3 of these different demographics. Okay? That is the only assignment that you have to turn in for today. Your other assignment today, if you remember from our calendar, is there's the calendar to go to billboard.com charts Hot 100. Make sure that you're familiar with the top 25. I am going to put together a quiz, about this music and let you take that on Thursday. So that is your class for Tuesday, March 17th, 2020 in this virtual world. If you have any questions, you can email me by Schoology. You can email me through my school email. And most of you have my phone number. You can text me, but I'd really rather you didn't. So get me through email if you can. Okay? Have a good day.